Or like when Coach Cho says he runs kind of bow-legged, and I'm like, I don't even honestly know what that means. Like it's hard to square up on someone like that. What is that? I don't understand. But
I'm not entirely sure to either. I've heard the phrase. If I saw like 5 people running and one was bow-legged, I probably could not identify that person.
Give me a lineup.
The bow-legged lineup. Number 4, bow-legged.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, coming at you with a special signing day special. We're going to give you our evaluations, prognostications, and summations about the 2019 signing class for the Montana State football team. Joined with me today is my buddy, Ryan, and Shane. So we got Shane on the CatCast today with us. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
I'm doing pretty good myself.
I'm not bad.
Good to have you on, Shane. Let's talk about the recruiting class. Basically, Christmas for football fans.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
Right on. But before we get into that, like every time, we're going to start with what we're drinking tonight. Why don't you start us off, Thorny?
Well, I'm going to pull Foley, and I was a little sick tonight, so I am drinking a LaCroix.
Ooh,
yes.
Nice. What flavor?
It's quite enjoyable. I don't know. It's one of the new tall ones. I can't even say the name. I can barely say LaCroix, but it's apple cranberry. It doesn't taste like apple or cranberry.
Oh, man. So like the tall ones are like the really girly ones.
That's pretty girly.
The slender cans, I don't know. I love LaCroix, but I can't go with the slender cans. They kind of creep me out in a slight way.
Fair enough. Well, don't look at my drink then. Good thing we're not in the same room.
It's true. What about you, Shane? Do you have anything you're drinking there tonight?
Yeah, I'm going non-alcoholic myself. I made myself a little like a fake LaCroix. Like I use grapefruit juice and just put a little club soda in there, and it's a lot of flavor, not a ton of calories. So kind of a girly drink too.
Probably tastes a lot better than LaCroix.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. It's got more flavor. You put like an ounce of grapefruit juice, and it gives you more flavor.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
not bad. I have my blue Bobcat cup, like a tailgating cup. I have a Miller Lite in my blue Bobcat cup with like about a good splash of OJ on the top.
You're representing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so my son, he does. My youngest son Macklin does not do well with milk, and so like the OJ we have is a calcium fortified OJ, and it's just I don't like it as much, but it's what we have. But like I tend to like I don't know about you guys. I like the OJ with the pulp in it.
Gross.
No, man. But I found like he was like sucking on that OJ one time. And he's like, I can't get any of it out. Or he couldn't tell me that, but he started crying. It was like all the little pulp was, messing with all the little holes in his sippy cup. So, anyways, I still like the OJ in a Miller Lite. It's such a good, refreshing way to drink Miller Lite. So
nice.
There we go. I'm going like tailgate style today, guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sidebar. What do you think of that song? Are you a pro or negative to that whole video?
That song.
The video.
Loved it, man. Yeah. Why not?
Oh man, I'm glad that people are into the Bobcats enough to make their own songs, and I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough. I think that answers your viewpoint. I like it. I think it's indicative of the culture. It's good. It's good enough. Not my cup of tea, but I also hate country music, so I am not a good Montanan.
Oh, by the way, fellas, I got the thumbs up from the wife today on making a trip out to Bozeman next fall for a football game.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
What game? Homecoming, maybe? Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll plan it when we're not talking on the podcast. So.
All right. Sounds good.
Nice.
But yeah, just thought I'd share that nugget with y'all.
Good news.
Yep. All right, well, tonight we're going to go through the position groups. We're going to name some of the key players, some of the things that stood out, and we're going to talk about Shane's general thoughts on being over at the Grand Tree yesterday. So I guess let's just start with that. Let's start with Shane. How'd that look and feel yesterday as when you were over there listening to the production?
Yeah, so my wife and I have tried to attend the Wednesday ones that they do in the fall, and it's just impossible. Like, you can't find a parking spot. The place is absolutely crammed, and they actually hold it in the club tavern. This one was actually held in like an event space and kind of in the back of the hotel, and it was nowhere near as crowded. I mean, they do those in the evening. This was in the middle of the day. It's hard for people to take time off to go do that. But there were about 30 to 40 people. There were about 4 professional cameras and camera operators. And it was really laid back and kind of casual atmosphere. It was they were serving food, but it just kind of like real kind of chill as they were giving the presentation. And Leon Costello was there, the AD, and then some coaches were there. Coach Kane Ione, Brian Armstrong, Bobby Daly was there, Matt Miller, and the new coach, Eric Frazier. I guess Bobby Daly's a new coach too, but Eric Frazier's that one. I think he came from somewhere in the Midwest.
Illinois.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, he was there, and I think Tuafalele might have been in front of me, but I didn't see his face, so I'm not sure if it was him or not.
Hey, good job on pronouncing it.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, it seemed like the mood was it was very relaxed and it just it was an off season kind of atmosphere. But yeah, so like people were relaxed. It seemed kind of optimistic. It was pretty good. It was interesting when someone asked a question, because recruiting is about filling spots that open up, right? And some of those spots that open up are because people leave the team. And I know you guys at least listened to it if not watched it, but I'm sure you heard Coach Choate say, "Let me stop you right there" at one of the questions. And I've never actually So I've never actually been to a media event before, anything like that. And so you don't really get a sense of like what it's like when the guy answering questions is kind of a little bit like defensive or kind of abrupt, but it kind of like stopped the room a little bit. I was like, oh man, I don't know if anyone else is feeling this, but it's a little tense right now.
Sometimes Choate definitely looks like he's like just not in the mood for that question.
Yeah, for sure. I think he had kind of, if I remember right, he kind of got worked up a little bit before that, talking about the portal. And then
so he was already in a tizzy because of the whole portal tirade, which I heard.
yeah, he was kind of worked up about that, and he's like, "Let me stop you right there." And it's like, "Oh man, like, it's relevant." He's like, "I'm not gonna talk about that. This is about people coming in." But it's like, well, I mean, the whole reason that you got people coming in, and the specific people you got coming in, is because some people are leaving either because of graduation, injuries, or they're just leaving. But in any case, he didn't want to talk about it, so he didn't. But I thought that was kind of interesting. But other than that kind of moment, it was very laid back and just kind of a chill atmosphere.
Yeah, I feel like Choate like warms up by punching Greg Rochak a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
He always picks on him. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, totally.
So I was wondering, does Choate command the room? I mean, when he walks in or when he comes up to the stage, does he have like a big presence or yeah, I was just wondering that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was probably ordering food when he walked up to the podium, but it was a very laid back atmosphere. So it wasn't like it was, super intense, like everyone's focused on, him walking up. But when he starts to talk, I mean, how he just speaks very clearly and concisely, and just in a way that does kind of grab your attention. And so, yeah, I would say like when he's talking, like people are just listening. But I wouldn't say that I necessarily noticed him walk up and take the stage.
Yeah. I want to give props to the Bobcats. They put on a really good event. It looks like through the YouTube channel, they make this an important day. And when you look around on Twitter, just being a casual observer, just looking at other teams and people's likes and retweets, MSU is doing a really good job just nationally when you're looking at just like comparison values. So hats off to the crew over there. I know there was an article on the graphics guy who does all the Twitter stuff. I mean, he's putting out some amazing graphics for these recruits. It's just phenomenal what MSU is doing, and I think it's paying some dividends. We're definitely getting some national notice because of it.
Yeah, I think it's is it Garrett Becker? Is that the name of the guy?
Yeah, there you go. Good call.
It was yeah, I really liked the graphics. They were cool. They just add a nice little touch to it. Just added a big program feel to it.
Yeah, Coach Choate definitely gave him some props. People were asking about like the media actually asked about like what the graphics were about and the presentation itself, and he kind of gave him props for that.
I noticed the one guy who didn't have like any graphics was the Galt kid from White Sulphur. Did you notice that? Like his picture was just like a high school picture of him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like, did he not go on a recruiting trip, or it's just like, here's a picture?
Well, the same with Blake Thielen from Great Falls, the quarterback. He had just like a random shot of him with like a different jersey. It was just like superimposed, so kind of weird. So,
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah. Anyways, let's start off with our quarterbacks, and we can start going through these position groups. What do you think about that?
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So speaking of Blake Thielen, he is the only quarterback listed. He is 6'3", 185 out of Great Falls. I think he played for Great Falls High, right?
Yep.
So I was listening to the press conference, and Choate said, we didn't take a quarterback this class. And then he went right on to say, like, here's our quarterback. So am I wrong on that? Did he just basically say we didn't take a quarterback, and then he said, here's our quarterback?
I didn't
catch that. That's funny.
I don't think Blake Thielen is probably going to end up being a quarterback. It's probably what maybe Choate is alluding to. What do you guys think? Do you think he projects as a quarterback, or do you think he might end up somewhere else?
So I watched some of his huddle tape, and it was pretty impressive as a quarterback.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's really not bad. Like he's got good athleticism to kind of move the pocket or escape the pocket if he has to, but he really kept his eyes downfield in all the highlights. Of course you don't get the bad decisions in there, but I was really impressed at how he would kind of make a move, kind of bait someone into coming after him, and then he keep his eyes downfield and make the pass, especially when he was being really harassed. He had some really good ones.
Yeah, I had the same impression. I was watching it, not expecting much out of it, but I was like, wow, this kid seems like he could be like a little bit of a gem, almost a little bit. I don't know if he'll end up staying there, like I said, but he certainly looks like he has the physical tools to develop into a serviceable quarterback at the FCS level.
Oh, absolutely. Quick quiz question, fellas. Who was our last quarterback from the city of Great Falls?
That played as a quarterback?
Jake Bleskin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there it is, Jake Bleskin. CMR.
Boom. Too fast for you, Shane.
There you go.
I'm asking clarifying questions over here, and you got the answer.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
Yeah.
All right.
The classic stall.
Yeah.
Let's move on to running back then.
So we got a couple pretty promising signings here. I'm pretty happy with both these guys. We have Demarius Hosey, who is a 6 foot, 190 pound running back out of Justin, Texas. And then we have Joe Olson from good old Bozeman, Montana, 6 foot, 195. They're both pretty much the exact same size, similar running styles. What do you guys think about these signings?
I don't think they see the field this year. I'm excited about them. They're taller, 6 foot, for running backs that we normally sign. So I I don't know much about him, but I just don't think they see the field this year.
I thought Demarius Hosey was pretty darn fast. That was impressive. And I got to say, Joe Olson's huddle tape was just eye popping.
It is.
He had this combination of balance and just extremely high effort, high motor that just makes him just a nightmare for defenses. Right when you think you got him, you don't.
Yeah, the way he runs reminds me of like how kind of Cody Kirk developed into his career, except Joe Olson already like has more speed than Kirk.
Yeah,
just similar like
impressive.
Field vision and just balance. He has those really well, and just the cuts and keeping his eyes where they need to be, like in the right spot. I was pretty impressed. Like he might have ran for over 2,000 yards if he wouldn't got hurt, which is just insane.
Yeah, crazy.
Does he have balance like Infante has balance?
He has incredible balance, honestly. In my opinion, from what I saw, really he gets popped really hard and he just puts one hand on the ground and keeps going. Really amazing.
Yeah, he kind of like just takes a hit and kind of just spins out of it. He's not like Ifanse, where Ifanse just kind of runs and there's a huge pile all of a sudden and he's just like pushing the pile. He's more like he just was bound, like pinballing off of guys.
Yeah.
So I think both these guys are like already at 190. You don't know what they're going to end up, but that's pretty good size for an incoming freshman running back. And you just kind of wonder, what exactly do you think Choate looks for in his prototypical running back? Is it a guy about this size who's just a combination back? Or do you think he's more of a running back by committee, or he doesn't want to ride a guy all season, kind of like he ended up doing with Infante?
My guess is kind of go back to our last playoff game against NDSU. And us three were just texting throughout the end of the game. And remember at the end of the game how NDSU was just able to plug and play seemingly the same guy, but there were like three of them. And I'm thinking that's what Choate essentially wants in the future is, just dominating runners, probably going to be about 200, 210 in that weight class, depending on, how tall you are. I don't think Infante will ever get to that weight, but, just bruisers who can, just wear the defense down. I don't see Choate being so much like the scat back kind of guy. And if we're using the scat back kind of guy, thinking he's going to be more of like a wheel route, maybe put into the slot, like Burgess. We talked about him last week. I don't see Burgess being an every down kind of back regardless. But I guess that's where I'm going with that. It's just I think Choate wants more of that physical type of running back.
No, I agree, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think like a guy who would almost fit like the prototypical Choate mold would have been like Nicholas Sane.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So
yeah, and I would say Ifanse is definitely kind of a prized possession of his as far as that goes. I think he loves just that hard hitting, like nothing gonna stop him kind of guy. And he said Joe Olson was his own personal pick too. So that I think it's that kind of that balance and just high motor that just doesn't stop. I think that's a big part of what he looks for too.
Yeah, he just likes competitors.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Just
and he likes
warriors.
Team guys too.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you gotta love the way he's building the program. But so there's the running back room. Let's keep moving on here since we got a lot to talk about. The wide receiver room. I'm sorry, I stole your thing, but I'm going to do it anyway. We got Jamad Peanut Monroe, right? It's Peanut.
Yeah.
He's 6'2", 180 out of San Diego, California. We got Jaden Smith, who is 6'6", 190, another Texas kid from Kennedale. And then we got a local kid, Tanner Trafton, a 6'5", 190 from Lewistown, out of Fergus High School.
So he said Jamad could be playing some slot for us. And I'm looking at that going 6'2", huh?
Yeah.
Slot, It's
Yeah,
not
that's not a
Grievel, that's not a Willie Patterson. That's a whole different animal right there in the slot. And so that when he said that in his press conference, man, that really popped to me. I was like, whew, that's different. So I'm excited to see that kid. Out of all three of those kids, I'm really excited about Tanner Trafton. There's something about those cerebral, academic first wide receivers that we've gotten in the past that just they blossomed. And I just think he's going to be a good kid for us. 6'5", 190. Got a good frame. He's gonna gain some size. He wants to be a Bobcat coming on a preferred walking on. Going for pre-med. I'm really high on him.
Yeah, it's interesting that. You go ahead, Shane.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, was that the kid that was like his family was leaned more Grizz, but he came here for the academics, maybe, or something? Might think of somebody else.
I'm not sure.
I remember what you're talking about. I can't say definitively though.
Yeah. Oh well.
I know it was a good gift for us.
Yeah, he's an exciting prospect. And you're interesting. You're talking about Monroe. I'd forgotten Choate had mentioned those comments that he's basically more of a guy who might be able to like stretch it and take one to the house like a kind of a slant pattern. Is Willie does some more short burst quickness things, but like Monroe has some of that quickness, but also that kind of ability to take one. Got the high end speed, which is something we've talked about this all the time. Like, when's the last time we just took a slant route to the house? I guess Cassis did one against Portland State. Maybe that was that's about it. 5 years, I swear.
Yeah, that was like
that was like a play that Eastern like thrives on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that was like half of all of the passing yards that number 15 got this year.
Yeah. Every game he had one play that accounted for half of his passing yards.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh gosh.
I thought. Sorry, what's that?
I was just gonna say it's an interesting room. It's a small class, but it's a good class for the wide receivers.
Yeah. I thought Monroe had good balance. Sorry, I think I stepped on you there.
Don't worry. It's going to happen when we're all in a different room. Go ahead.
Yeah. I thought he had good balance. That was another thing that stood out to me on his huddle tape. A lot, he could take that first hit and, either spin out of it or just kind of trip his way for a few more yards.
That's something that will definitely be appreciated. Does anyone, I know Jaden Smith, everyone was pretty excited when we signed him. Does anyone have any thoughts on Jaden Smith? That's a big target.
Well, he manhandled some guys.
For sure.
Is he the one that said is real strong? Or no, that was Monroe he was talking about. Was also like really strong for a high school receiver. Like somebody had really good strength out of this group, and I think it was Monroe. But yeah, Jaden Smith, that's an interesting prospect too, because 6'6", 6'5" with Tanner Trafton, we got the big class. They're all big. 6'2" is even pretty good size for a slot receiver in particular.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out.
All right, so that's it for the wide receiver class.
All right, let's move on to the tight ends. We got one guy,
but this is where I don't really know. There's a couple guys that we have that I don't know where they're going to land.
Sure.
I don't know where Logan Gilliard projects. He's listed as a defensive lineman, a long snapper, and a tight end. So not sure where he's going to play. But the only guy officially listed as a tight end would be Ryan Lonergan from Bozeman, Montana, who Vim has his number 2 recruit in the state?
Yeah. I believe that's right.
No, that's exciting. I just love Montana tight ends. We always have good tight ends from Montana, and it just seems to be like a natural fit.
Yeah, an interesting story about Ryan. A good friend of mine is a PE teacher in the area, and he said that when Ryan was just a little guy, he worked with him, and he's just like, I can't believe how big that guy is now. It's insane. So I guess that's promising.
Grew up a lot, huh?
Yeah. But I mean, his numbers tell you right there, 6'4", 220. That's pretty big.
Yeah, that's a big kid coming out of high school. Like it's easy to look at these sometimes, like, he's only 220, but he's a high school kid. He's 18, 17 years old,
Jeez.
Yeah.
He's probably going to put on another 30 pounds,
Yeah, he's got the frame to do it, I think, too. I think he's going to end up, if he's, 240, 250 as a tight end.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he's kind of our did you ever hear the story on, like, Dallas Goddard from South Dakota State?
No.
Just this, like, skinny kid he was like 180 in like high school or something. This
Oh,
skinny
wow.
kid from like a small town, South Dakota, that they took a chance on, and of course now he's in the NFL. So it's more about the frame and the guy's work ethic, and just some guys are late bloomers. So you just never know. But yeah, 220 already. That's a good sign.
No doubt.
Yeah, for sure. So is he the only guy on the roster that's a tight end now, or what's?
No, he's just the only recruit. The tight end room is going to be an interesting mix between what do we got? Like Derek Snell, Clark Judish. I think maybe R.J. Fitzgerald might play into it as a Curtis Amos type guy, and there's one other guy missing here.
Okay, that Snell kid's a tight end. That's promising.
Yeah.
'Cause I know he was supposed to be real good.
Yeah. Oh, and Ryan Davis, I think.
Okay.
So we got a decent little room, but there's Ryan Lonergan with that young room. I mean, he might have a chance to see the field. I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt hardly anybody on the roster that's a freshman in this class is going to see the field, but he would have a decent chance, I suppose, just based on the inexperience and youth in that room already.
Yeah.
No doubt. And it kind of depends to how far we get into the playoffs this year. With the four game allowance, so to say. That's such a interesting rule to me now, how that can play out for us.
There's so many strategic ways to use it.
Yeah, right? I know. So,
like a guy like Ryan Lonergan, you could have him practice like all fall camp all the way through like the week 11. And if he's progressing, he plays week 12 and maybe a couple playoff games, and he still redshirts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's just weird.
I know.
It's weird to think of. So,
well, let's move on to the offensive line.
So, Choate definitely emphasized this recruiting class, offensive line and quarterbacks. So this is, I think, it's our biggest group, right, that we signed, which is a little surprising. Like, I know you and I talked about on our offensive preview that we were thinking that maybe they'd sign some more offensive linemen, but we got six. We got six guys come in on the offensive line. We got Justice Perkins, a 6 foot, 245-pound guy from Bozeman who projects as a center, as I understand. We got Jacob Kettles, a 6'4", 280-pound guy from Linden, which is a little bit up near my neck of woods, which is it's a powerhouse. Like, that's a good football program for a smaller classification. And he's going to Gray Shirt. TJ Session, 6'4", 270 from Menifee, California. Hudson Clunt, 6'3", 290 from Twin Falls. Jack Varing, 6'6", 245 from Boise. And Holden Sampson, 6'3", 265 from Helena Capital.
Some big dudes in there.
Yeah, that's some good size already.
So, do you remember back when we were going to school and Kramer would sign his his offensive line?
They were all like 230.
Yeah, 230, 220. You're like, well, what are we doing here? Are we playing intramurals, guys, or what? But they would eventually come along. So it's just the amount of just the mass we're seeing. Not only that, what sticks out to me, one of my general thoughts on this class is just how big we are, how tall we are. I mean, I'm looking down these numbers, man. I don't see on this page I have in front of me, there's nothing below 6'1" or no 6'0" or 6 foot. 6 foot is the smallest guy I'm looking at. It's just remarkable how tall these kids are.
We got Elijah King, who's 5'10".
Well,
that's it though. That's literally the only
that's
one.
the next page for me. So,
I'm sorry. I thought you were just talking about the entire class in general, but no, because that's actually also true. He's the only one in this entire class who's under 6 foot.
Oh my gosh! So I got to tell you, like, a little story. So first year I get over here in Spokane. We're playing over here at Eastern, and Eastern's field just sucks so bad. I mean, it's just horrible. The whole get up out there is just so second class.
Is this back red turf days or pre?
No, this is like literally like 4 years ago. Okay. So it's red turf days.
Nice.
Although
and red.
They have a pretty good basketball course. Like, it's a smaller venue, but it's pretty intimate. So if you get a good crowd in there, it'd be a pretty good crowd, or a pretty good place to play. Regardless, So like I go there and I'm searching out the Montana State tailgate, and they have kind of a nice function over there in the back, and so you pay a couple dollars, get in, you drink a couple beers before the game. But then like as you're going in, it was such a hot day. Holy smokes. It was just blazing hot. The wind was just cooking across that field, which is typical over there. And you kind of enter the same spot that the players walk through. Now, I'm 6 foot, a little over 6 foot, about 6'1", but these players are walking past me, and I am dwarfed by just seemingly just all of them. I'm like, I feel like a little boy against like the Bobcat players. I mean, just obviously they got cleats on, and their helmet makes them look a little taller, and just the shoulder pads. But just the sheer size of these well, they're not boys, they're men that are walking past me. It's just like, holy cow. And just to see how we're just building on that. I mean, because I know what we recruited, and I'm seeing the numbers that we have now. Well, we're just getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting impressive, because it just boggles my mind what that must look like in the middle of that scrum when you're you're trying to like if you're in Isaiah and Fonse and trying to get through the line, and you're trying to navigate through those dudes. Holy cow!
Yeah, it's kind of like those were kind of more what Kramer's defenses were. They weren't small. Like Ash kind of went the small, fast route, but Kramer's defense, like all safeties were all 6'2", 220. That was just like every safety that Kramer ever had. And cornerbacks, it is what it is, cornerbacks. But those were always bigger guys on the whole. And even like Bobby Daly played a lot heavier than a lot of our linebackers. I think he was probably 230, 235, which our guys are, a lot of the times are 215 and 220. So it's good to see us kind of get some bigger physical guys for the physical style that we want to play. You can't be a physical team, and eventually you just have to have a big enough body to take the abuse or give out the abuse that you want to get. So I like the size that we're getting, and this offensive line class, which is what I think we were talking about, is a big class. We already got guys 280, 290 on there who can already move, who already have decent technique, that are, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of these guys has a spot at cracking the rotation. He's not going to start, but we talked about in our last episode too. I don't know how deep we go on offensive line. We might go 7 or 8 deep, maybe, and you want to go deeper than that.
Well, another thing is, I keep going back to the North Dakota State game. Where did we lose that game? And it was essentially in the trenches. Yeah. I mean, we have to get bigger. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We have smart guys, we have tough guys, but smart and tough doesn't make up for mass. We need to have that trifecta right there. So it's got to happen, and I like the way we're going.
Definitely. I think they had mass and depth on us, and I think we're building both with this group.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be interesting to see the battle that plays out on the offensive line in camp. I still don't think any of these guys are going to, which is a sign of like a good program, right? You don't want a freshman to come in and basically play because he's all of a sudden the best guy on a group that's not very deep. That was always seen to be something that happened in the Ash era. The one guy would come in and be a freshman phenom, which is great, but typically it was because there wasn't much to work with there in the beginning. I feel like Choate does a lot better job of planning and always having depth built up in each position.
Yeah, well, it's taken a while. I mean, this could be year 4 for him. So,
yep.
I mean, he's taken his lumps, but he's stuck with his guns, and I think it's going to pay off.
All right. What's our next group we're going to talk about here?
Big one, defensive end.
So I have Amandre Williams on here. I don't know if he's going to play there or not. I've heard people say, I've heard people say linebacker. I've heard people say buck. So I'm not sure where he's going to project, but he's a 6'2 and a half, 248-pound guy, transfer out of UW. Big size at either position, maybe a little smaller than you want for a buck, but right about where you'd want him to be in the Big Sky. But as a linebacker, if he's got the speed that he had on film and stuff, because I think he also maybe played quarterback in high school. Another hallmark of Choate loves that. he's got good size. I'm excited to see this guy play. I'm excited to see where he fits in. You guys have any thoughts on where he might project? Have you heard different than me?
No, I haven't. What about you, Shane?
No, I haven't heard any different. I guess the only thing I wanted to mention about him is I think talk about him is that he's next level. And when you flip on, like you look up his name and you get like high quality, like well produced, like the highlights are like expensive highlights, and it looks like he's next level. So I think that's probably going to be one of our big guys that comes in right away and makes an impact.
As Coulter likes to say, Choate likes to say, like that's just how they look.
Yeah,
he just passes the eye test. A lot of it, like that, doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of how good you are as a football player, but it means something. Like if you just look the part, you more than often, like that's just how guys look at that level versus how our guys look at our level. It doesn't mean anybody's a better football player, but there's definitely just a physical difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to see him go to the buck position. I'd like to see. This is not to be disrespectful to Bryce Sterk, but maybe just a little more twitch on the outside. I mean, if I'm being nitpicky, like Sterk, if I'm honest, kind of underwhelmed me a little bit. He had some games where he really did well, but he needs to take the next step for sure. Amaj Williams.
Was that when he got like 3 sacks in a row in the Cat Grizz game that he was underwhelmed?
Yeah. When he would he lead the conference in sacks? Underwhelming.
That's the underwhelming part.
No, he was inconsistent. Maybe it was because for me it was just because he had that club on his hand or something, but he would just like disappear at times,
No, I actually do agree with you.
I agree with you. We're just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, you guys.
It just seems like his ceiling is even higher than it was. Even though he performed well, like it just seems like, hey, he could be even better. But this is his first year really playing.
Yeah.
I think he didn't react very quickly, is what I thought, and so he would disappear because he didn't see where the play was going to begin with. But man, when he's on, he's just a monster.
For sure.
Yes, he's one of those. That's how they look kind of guys. For sure. So I'm excited to see how Amandre Williams fits in, to see if he backs up Buck or Sterk. Maybe he even spells them, or maybe they just kind of rotate in. But it's good to have a guy like that on the roster. So
absolutely.
Let's move on.
All right, let's talk about some D-line.
Is it? How do you say his name? Is it Tua Areta?
Tua Arietta, not Arietta. Areta.
I think it's just Areta, but the whole joke was like it's a typo on his thing that he weighs 385. Well, it was a typo because we 80.
Jeez, I saw that. I was like, "There's no way," and then I had to read down. I was like, "Nope, that was the same number." Coulter put it twice in one of his articles. I was like, "Are you kidding? What?"
Yeah, 6'3", 380 from Kent, Washington. Another guy that we have listed, who I might play tight end, I'm not sure, is Ethan Bullock from Big Timber, 6'6", 220. Got some real good size there. Blake Schmidt, one of the higher regarded signees, I believe, in our class, from 6'3", 250 from San Diego. Then we got Marcus Ware, 6'3", 220 from Billings Central.
Feel like Marcus Ware is going to be like one of those Zach Wright kind of stories, just going to quietly have himself a really good, 10-year over at Montana State.
Just bring his lunch pail and go to work.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd like to see some of these, like a Blake Schmidt, like pop. He's like one of the guys I'm high on, but man, it seems like we've kind of struck out on the D-line. Maybe I'm going to check myself because there's been some good, like James Williams did a really good job. He was a high recruit, but it seems like more or less just those yeoman type of workers that really just earn their stripes on the D-line that become the salty dogs towards the end of their career.
Yeah, those are great guys to have on the roster, but we need a little bit more playmaking ability out of that group. I love the group we had, but the interior needs to still be a little bit better.
Yeah, and we're gonna need to bolster that group. That's one of the things that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But we're gonna need more mass. We're gonna need just more depth because I mean, again, go back to where we stumbled when we were playing championship level teams. It's that depth on the D line and depth on the offensive line right there.
Yep. And I think this is probably one of the groups where somebody might have a shot to play as a freshman. I think Blake Schmidt or maybe even Tua, depending on where he ends up weight-wise, if he's in shape.
If he hits 4 bills, just put him out there. Just put him in the middle and just see what happens.
Right, just run into straight ahead and just take up as many guys as you can.
He would take up the A and B gap just by being out there.
Yeah, but I think Blake Schmidt has a chance to start there, but I forgot what I was going to say there before we started talking about the A gaps.
8.5 right there. All right, let's just go ahead and move on to our linebacker core.
This is another spot where we might see a guy crack the rotation as a freshman. I think many people think he might be the star of the class, Jahari Martin, 6 foot, 238-pound freshman from Lakeland, Florida. We also got a transfer here who looks pretty good. We got Blake Flovin. He's 6'1", 230 from the Archbishop Mitty Foothill and / Holy Cross. So he started off at FCS Power Holy Cross, transferred over to junior college, and ended up coming here. We got Alex Johnson, 6'2", 185 from Helena, and Cole Ulster, 6'1", 210 from Castle Rock, Colorado.
Cole Ulster is my favorite out of that group. I remember watching his whole tape, and that kid can move. He's got pop, and he can move. Like he's moving much faster than people around him. He's got speed, man. So when I was watching him, he was definitely my favorite from that signing class. So I was really high on him. He's only 210, but man, he's just rangy. That's the best word for him. He looks rangy, fast, twitchy, and just kind of violent. I loved watching his huddle, Phil.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I kind of lost track of this recruiting class this year.
It's hard with the 2 signing periods.
Yeah, totally. When I was sitting in there and he got to Jahari Martin and started talking about him, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" He was the team MVP on a team that beat St. Thomas Aquinas, like a perennial national powerhouse. He was the county all county defensive player of the year. Like, this dude is a no kidding legit dude. I totally imagine that he's gonna make an impact early in his career.
I don't really understand how he was under recruited. Like I've seen anywhere from 127 tackles to 130 tackles his senior year, 27.5 tackles for loss. He had 3 blocked kicks. He scored 18 touchdowns running the ball on 57 carries. He was, like you said, the team MVP, and he looks the part. He's 6 foot, 238. What's the problem?
I don't know how we got him.
Joe did say that he was being actively recruited by quite a few FBS schools. I mean, albeit MAC schools, maybe Southern schools over there. So you're never going to play big time ball. I think just goes to show relationships are huge when it comes to recruiting.
True. I guess I didn't really hear too much about it. I only could go by what I see on 24/7. It was only Middle Tennessee State, or it was a bunch of FCS schools. And he had interest from some other schools, but then I did hear I think it was Coulter on his show today talking about all the other offers he was having. They mentioned Troy. I was like, well, I can't find that anywhere online. So I mean, obviously they have access to better information than we do. But it seems like he was at least recruited pretty heavily, and we got him at the last minute. He was he's the last guy to come in.
He was the guy that took his picture with Denarius with his shirt off.
Sure was.
I guess he was came through. I guess Coach Armstrong used to coach down there.
Yeah,
and kind of came through a relationship that way. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear Choate talk about how he feels Florida kids don't care about the weather as much as the California kids. Did you guys hear that interview?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Skyline?
interesting.
Yeah, it's like the Florida kids, man, they just love football. They just give them a roof over their head and a scholarship, and they'll come play. That's all they care
Yeah.
about. California kids are a little more fickle, which is an interesting concept. I never really thought about it, but it's probably absolutely correct. So I'm not too worried about that, I guess, because we've had a couple of Florida kids on there. Who was that? We had like a defensive end linebacker from Florida a few years ago. Was it Clive Owen? Was he from Florida?
Clive Owen, isn't that an actor?
Wait, Clive Owen? Who am I thinking of?
Actor. Well, Sandlin was from down there, wasn't he?
Clive Owen.
Clive Owen.
You got to look up Clive Owen when we get off.
Well, I know who Clive Owen is. I know exactly who Clive Owen is. I'm just trying to think of why I would have, like, somebody's got to be close to that.
Are you sure there was a Bobcat named Clive Owen? I don't know. That doesn't ring a bell. There was a Clive back in the day, but I don't know if there was a Clive Owen.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll do some research offline. I'll get back to the everyone's
just making up players.
Clive Lowe.
Clive Lowe. There it is.
Okay, I can see how that would get mixed.
It's a Clive. That's like only one of two Clives I've ever heard of.
Yeah. But yeah, Bo Sandlin at least played down there. Was he not from down there? He like went to like Miami or something.
I'm not actually sure where his high school was, but yeah, he went to Miami.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually a JC guy. He was like the number 1 or 2 or top 3 rated tight end junior college transfer, and that's how he ended up at Miami. And he just kind of got stuck behind a guy I think is in the NFL now and just wanted one more chance to play somewhere. And he had to sit out a year when he came to Montana State. He was very like underwhelming, like no real like hoopla about it. Like he just like, oh, there's a guy who played at Miami who's now he's just in school for a year because he can't be on the team. It's like, oh, well, we'll see how that actually works out. But that's exactly what Jacquay Allen did. So
yeah,
love that guy.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's move on to our secondary.
So as I mentioned, this is the other area that Choate likes to recruit the crap out of, apparently. Let's see how many cornerbacks we can get on the roster, which is a smart play, as much as I'm making a joke there. We got Tyler Bohannon, who is a 6'1", 175 Sacramento kid. Dom Brown from Oxnard, California. We got Elijah King, who is an athlete. Choate did say that he projects him at cornerback, but he's also got wide receiver skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I have him here on the cornerback just based on that comment, but he's from Elk Grove, California. And then Eric Zambrano, 6'3", 190 from Upland, California. So they're all from California.
And they're lengthy, man. Look at that. 6'1", 6'2", 5'10", 6'3".
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time the Bobcats have recruited corners like that? And we got the Gibson twins. I mean, they're 6'1", 6'1", somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think they're 6'1".
Man, I mean, they're probably going to be sandwiched behind those boys, but, man, there's some exciting talent on there, especially the guy that popped out to me was Dominic Brown, watching his tape, and he's just hawking the ball. It's hard to tell, though, when you're watching these high school huddle tapes because some of the offenses are so basic. You know, they're just running go routes all the time. And,
yeah.
You know, the guys just, you know, the quarterbacks can't throw it that far, and so
staring down the receiver.
Exactly. So, but you can see good hits and whatnot, but yeah, he really popped. It was interesting to see. I was reading an article. Dominic Brown is a cousin of Ty Salanoa. Did you know that?
Oh, no kidding.
I didn't realize he was a cousin, but I'd read that Salanoa was very like famous around those parts, so he's kind of like I think has a good connection there. I didn't realize he was a cousin.
Oh, that's what the article said. That is
cool.
It was from Coulter's write up, and I did see Ty, tweet out to him. He's like, "You're gonna love it up there," and Bozeman.
Oh, nice.
So just kind of good affirmation for him there.
Man, I love T. Salano. Just now, sidebar. That guy was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
this is a good team player.
Interesting class here. Big kids, lengthy kids. They're all rangy kids, and they're coming into a room where we have already a lot of competition. And I understand why we recruited this because, like we talked about, like Howard, Tyrell Thomas, and Jalen Cole already going to be juniors. It's like, Jesus, I'm old. I'm getting old if they're already that old. So we got those guys. Damon Washington's already a senior. So, in 2 years, our entire starting group is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to start getting those guys in there. But that's a big class, though. 4 guys in one class, 4 scholarship out-of-state players. It's pretty big. And we got the Gibson twins coming in, too. So there's going to be a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
A hell of a lot of smack talk, I imagine.
I know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I wish they could just have it mic'd up. I would pay for that.
I want to hear the
awesome.
Gibson twins because apparently they just fight with each other the entire time.
I don't know how you tell them apart. They're so they look so similar.
Yeah, they're like twins.
Well, there you go.
Well, I hope all this competition doesn't scare anyone away because we got some great guys in there. But it sounds like he's thinking Tyler Bohannon should compete right away for some time. So that's exciting.
That's a little bit interesting. I didn't think any of these. I forgot that he had said that. Like I didn't assume that any freshman cornerback wouldn't be able to see the field with just how many guys we have on there. So you'd think he'd have to be a pretty special talent if he's gonna, possibility to even play on special teams as in this group. Just seems like it would be an accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess Eric Zambrano had a lot of interest late in the game from, I think he said like Mountain West schools and all sorts of bigger schools. So that was a big win too, I think.
Well, yeah, you're 6'3", 190. You're going to get looks just based on that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Zambrano, there's a guy with that same last name that went up to and played at the University of Montana. I wonder if there's any connection with him there.
That's a good point. I forgot there was a guy, or was there a guy at Eastern too? Last name. The name sounds familiar, but
yeah. Who is the guy I'm thinking of? He's a defensive back for us this year. Played a ton and then got hurt. It was just like he was splashing everywhere. He was, I think it was a guy from Hawaii.
Tai Okada.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
Tai
didn't really talk about him. I mean, that guy was everywhere. He was just ball hawking everywhere. And I was just like, wow. And then he was one of our leading tacklers for a while. I thought
you actually might be Sean Borges.
I don't think you're talking. Yeah, you're talking about Borges. He's Hawaiian. Something pineapple. That's Borges. And Okada had a couple splash plays, but
wait. What about a pineapple?
Oh yeah, so that's like his nickname. It's like the something pineapple or something. Coulter would know off the top of his head, but it's maybe they just the flying pineapple. I don't know what it is. Something like that.
I like any combination of your nickname being pineapple. Any other word you throw in there is good.
Yeah, definitely.
Any qualifier for pineapple is okay. Yeah, so I mean, there's some guys with some experience and some grit back there. So that's a big room, but iron's going to sharpen iron there. I'm looking forward to seeing who emerges essentially.
Yeah, I think you and I had identified that we thought that was our strongest returning group.
Yeah,
just based on the personnel coming back, let alone signing anybody. So, but it's a group that there's a reason that Choate wants to sign kids here is because it's a group where there is attrition.
Oh yeah, for
guys
sure.
get hurt, guys leave the program, guys just don't pan out because it's a hard position. It's an extremely hard position to play, and it takes a certain attitude. And I imagine if you're not getting the reps you think you should be getting as a quarterback, if you have that kind of the typical cornerback attitude, you're just gonna want to go play somewhere else. So
yeah,
I haven't seen too many guys transfer out, but it's good to have probably more guys than you think you need in that room, especially in a conference like the Big Sky.
Exactly, that's what I was just gonna say. I think he's building it. You come in and you want to predicate your team on defense. The Big Sky is a tough place to do that, and if you want to do it, I think he's getting the formula down. You got to have those guys in the back end at the very top level.
Yeah, there's a recipe for beating any kind of offensive football. It's having a good defensive line and like a good secondary.
Yeah.
you're going to win a lot of games. Although decent linebacker play wouldn't hurt anybody. Not saying there's any team that needs to improve there, like the Bobcats. Although, big news out of the choke camp, Troy Anderson camp. There's my obligatory Troy Anderson mention, but this is big news. We got to talk about this, right? We got to talk about it.
I know you couldn't stop.
He's a linebacker.
I knew you couldn't. You couldn't go a whole podcast without saying Troy Anderson's name,
and I'm proud of it. Proud of that fact. So
one step closer to getting
What's that?
I was going to say one step closer to getting that Troy Anderson tattoo right on your ass.
I'm sure he won't be the first one.
I think you cats would join him.
Yeah, he kind of said it as an offhand thing. Maybe that was already news that had broken, but yeah, he's like, when he's talking about the linebackers room that Bobby Daly's going to inherit, he's going to have 15 in there, he said. So
don't screw it up, I think is what he said, right?
Yeah, right. You better not screw it up, something like that.
Or Matt Miller is going to have him back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he plays. I'm just kind of curious. He's definitely gonna. There's gonna be a lot of competition in the linebacker room, and I think Jahari Martin's gonna fit into that, and Blake Flovin. So two of the guys that we signed are gonna be right in that mix. I think. All of a sudden, there's a log jam of guys there. I imagine there's got to be somebody switching out from linebacker. That just seems like way too many linebackers. And I guess it depends if Josh Hill comes back healthy or not.
Sure. Well, let's keep on the thread, and we have one more, or a couple guys to talk about just safety. Rylan Ort out of Missoula, right?
Yep, and that's where, again, it's hard to kind of do this position by position because it doesn't necessarily make it easy to like figure out where a guy is going to play, where the coaches think he's going to play. So that's where I projected. And when I say I project, I guess like that's where I think other people project him. Like that's the consensus I think I found is it looks like he's going to play safety. So yeah, 6'1", 185-pound kid out of that perennial power Sentinel High School.
Going back to the cornerback group, I think Zambrano could be one of those guys that would, more his body type 6'3", 190. It sounds more like a safety to me than a corner. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the back end.
I feel kind of the same way with Don Brown too, because we're going to lose a lot of the safeties too.
It is so important to have good safeties to line everybody up. That is like they have to be some of their most like in tune players on the field out there. So that concerns me. Let's say who do we got coming back? I mean, we got Jacque. We have Conkle. We have JoJo back there. I mean, so some guys who played some decent ball for us for a long time. So some
Isn't
good.
That where Borges played too? Was he played safety? Right.
Yeah, I think he played safety.
Was he safety or I thought he was nickel for a while.
I mean, he might have come in at nickel, but I think he's listed as a safety. I think that's going to be his position, but maybe he showed enough to play some corner.
Yeah, and it's just such an important position, so we just need good leadership back there.
It's true. Absolutely true. So, that's a good room too. So, I think Ort is going to be a good one. He's got the size, and that is tape looked good, but he's going to be a few years away before ever really seeing the field, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then we got a few guys that are kind of listed in multiple spots. So here's my miscellaneous column. Got Jack Galt, who is listed as a linebacker / fullback out of White Sulphur Springs, 6 foot 210, 6-man football. Got Logan Gilliard. Like we already kind of talked about him. Defensive line, long snapper, tight end from Big Fork. And then we got the kind of an intriguing prospect from Wyoming. We got Brock Spiegelberg. I don't think anybody had really identified him throughout the recruiting process. 6 foot 210 from Casper, Wyoming. And he's kind of a where did he come from kind of guy.
Yeah.
Did anyone have a chance to watch any of the film on him?
I did not.
I didn't either.
I watched a little bit of his film as a running back. He kind of reminds me. He runs a little bit like Gunnar Brecky. But how I describe
really?
it, he didn't look like he has a lot of top end speed though. So I'm not entirely sure where he's going to fit in. I just think he looks like a good athlete who played every position for small, that Wyoming football. But he was like a top 20 rated Wyoming prospect. I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in that, but Choate was saying that the Wyoming pipeline is not a bad place to go. They got Coy Steele, who's they just are like kind of the small Montana guys, like just the hard working, just going to come in. He praises Coy as being like one of the hardest working guys on the team, and I think he kind of felt the same way that Spiegelberg might be that kind of way too. So, but I heard nothing about what position he is going to play.
And that's a Choate thing too. For him, he just wants 11 guys that are incredibly good athletes, and he's just gonna plug them in wherever he can fit them.
Yep, he loves that position versatility to a perhaps a bit of a fault in my opinion. But
yeah, I think
that's another podcast in itself. Well, all right. That sums up the recruiting class. Shane, who do you got for your top three?
Okay, so I gotta look through. So I kind of think that one kid, Amandre Williams. I think he's kind of a ringer. I think he's kind of like the other defensive end we brought in. His name is escaping me, from UW.
Bryce Sterk.
Yeah, Bryce Sterk. Yeah, I think he's like that kind of guy where it's like there's not probably a lot of question that he's going to have a big impact. So I got him. I got I think Jacob Kettles. He looked like a lean 280 to me. Like he looked like a skinny tall dude. I was amazed. So I think that's another one that I'm really looking forward to see where he's gonna be. And then Dahari Martin, that one on that team that beat St. Thomas Aquinas. He was the MVP on the team and the Defensive Player of the Year of the Polk County. Those are my three.
Those are good, solid picks there, and I'm not going to argue with any of those. How about you, Foley?
I got Dom Brown, first guy I put down out of Oxnard, California. The guy is cornerback that we were just talking about. Tanner Trafton, this kid, I don't know why, he's just one of my guys I was just most giddy about back in December when we signed him out of Lewistown. I like his size. I just think he's going to be kind of like that next Jake Bleskin for us, but with better speed. Maybe like a Mitch Herbert. And I'm just kind of typecasting him because he's, like the pre-med kind of guy, so, but both those.
You mean Tanner Bleskin?
Oh yeah. Excuse me. Tanner Bleskin. Did I say Jake?
Yeah. I just know the reactions that we're going to get from that, but
yeah. Okay.
I didn't even catch that. That's funny. I just was just like, all right, go on, carry on.
Thanks, Shane. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Got my back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited to see that kid work his way into, just kind of whatever he's going to give to our program. And then Jahari Martin was my third. And that guy's going to be a gamer. As soon as he steps on campus, he just looks different than all of our recruits. His body is just built already. His body looks like Jody Owens' body did when Jody Owens was like a junior.
I don't think Owens ever even played above like 230 though.
No, Owens always seemed to be like about that 225, 220 it seemed. And they get lighter throughout the year, as they continue on. So, I mean, Jody Owens is always one of my top favorite Bobcats of all time. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked about that guy.
That's a good list too, and it's so easy to just fall in love with like all the hype and everything with Jahari Martin, but I'm gonna have to put him on there too because he just seems like a guy who's just like, how can you not be excited about the signing of this kid? He just looks like a dude. He's got the stats to back it up. He plays in a awesome area for high school football that just worships football. And yeah, there's nothing not to like about him.
Yeah.
His tape was awesome. He's just popping people. He just flew off the tape. He could probably play buck end right now if we wanted him to as well, because I think he played some D-line a little bit in high school too. So I think he's going to be a presence that we haven't had in the middle really for a little while. So I'm excited about him. I also am excited about Jacob Kettles. He seems like a guy that, like you said, already has the big size, could probably easily put on more weight. I think he's gray shirting mainly because he's probably still rehabbing from ACL injury. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's an injury. It's an injury reason.
Yeah, you're always a little bit wary of gray shirts. I am a little bit, because that's just like a whole year to kind of bad things to happen, I guess, or guys to change their mind or however things happen. But if he stays committed the whole time, which I don't see why he wouldn't, I have no reason to believe he wouldn't. I think he's going to be a good player because, like I said, Linden is a very good program, and if he's a top prospect out of a top program like that, and we beat out Eastern Washington for him, never hurts. Gotta love that. And then the other guy I'm excited for is just Ryan Longren. I'm enamored with the Montana kids being tight ends. We just had line after line of good tight ends come through. Whether we use him to throw him the ball or just as a blocking tight end, either way, I think he's going to be a stud for us. So that would be my top three there.
Yeah, and I like that you guys both picked Montana kids, at least one Montana kid, because it's what you realize over the years is that they come through. Like they come through in big moments a lot of times, and someone is going to show up from this class. And I have a feeling Tanner and Ryan have a really good chance of being the guy.
Yeah, I'd pick that, but it was between that and I was pretty excited about Demarius Hosey too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it was a hard third pick there, but so those are our top picks. Who do you guys have as a guy maybe no one's really talking about or there's no hype about, but you just kind of see as a sleeper who might end up having a good career, if not 3-4 years down the road as a junior, maybe not until he's a senior, but just a guy who's going to have a good career or even a breakout season at some point?
Go ahead, Shane.
So mine, I guess I can't say that nobody's talking about him because the head coach is talking about him, but Joe Olson, like, I have a feeling that he's going to be kind of a steal. Like, maybe not quite the same level as Anderson, but like that kind of thing where it's like, well, yeah, he's kind of in Montana, so that's why he's not playing at a Power 5 school, or at least.
Plus, he was hurt too. So.
Right? Yeah. And just the way he runs, man, I think he's going to be kind of the dark horse.
It's a good pick. How about you?
I'm gonna go with Cole Oster out of Colorado. Our only recruit out of Colorado. I just when I watched this kid's film back in December, my jaw was just like, on the table. This kid just is fast, rangy, and violent. I just loved everything I saw about him. I think he just plays with intensity. He's got that like intensity like Troy Anderson has. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because Troy is next to Jesus Christ and on his right side up there. But Cole, man, if he produces anything like what his tape looks like, I'm super excited for him.
Nice,
solid. The guy I think is actually going to end up starting probably in a few years. Has a good chance. Justice Perkins from Bozeman. He plays like a mean dude, and he's got that small stature, kind of like a lot of great Bobcat centers of the past. I think he's going to be a good solid player. I think he's lead the state in pancake blocks or something I heard. He's just a guy who just puts people on their back and then like drives you into the ground once you're on the ground. Just that kind of guy. Blocks past the whistle, we'll say, right up to the whistle. I think he's already at 6 foot 245. At center, you can get away with being 265 or 270 if you are smart and can get the guys in position. And I think he could end up being a good center for us.
Quick question: does Holden Sampson project as a center as well?
I don't know. Good question. He's just written down his O-line here. Give me a minute, I'll go look it up, but I'm not sure where he ends up projecting.
Okay. Sean was a really good one for us, and so I was just wondering, if he's going to follow those footsteps, or he's got that 6'3", 265 frame.
I think he's a little bit bigger than his brother.
Okay.
I think he's going to probably be more of a guard, maybe, but I don't know. Yeah, I can't find it, but I'm not sure where he projects.
I'm seeing T. I'm thinking that's supposed to be tackle, but it should be OT, but I don't know.
Where do you see that?
On his huddle.
Okay. Yeah, so I think he's got enough size to play on the outside. Doesn't mean he's not going to play center, but I don't know if he even played center in high school. I really don't know.
Gotcha.
So, good question, though, because he's a pretty highly regarded recruit himself. We didn't really talk much about him, but he's one of the better signings of the Montana class.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right, man. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this up.
One quick question. Do you think we need to sign anyone else before spring camp?
Yes. D-line. We need
D-line?
depth. Yep. That's my pressing need. We got to go out one or two guys that are just going to be game changers right there. I'm looking to see. I need to see guys to feel comfortable, and my professional opinion, I want to see guys over, somewhere in between 270, 290, and some nasty dudes that can just wreck shop.
I agree, and you think there's got to be some dudes out there in that dreaded transfer portal that Chuck might like to sign.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be someone out there. And I think it's a position where we could definitely use an immediate impact player.
What about you, Shane?
Yeah, maybe tight end. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just losing so much right now. So that it would be nice to have a transfer that's got some game experience.
That's a good point, because we got some guys vying for position, but if you get a guy like Bo Sandlin, for example, just comes in and is immediate threat in all phases of the game. Yeah, they're out there. So that would be a good addition. Get a guy in here as a junior, because that room is so young. So you get a junior here to kind of lead the guys, and then as they develop.
Yeah,
good point.
Well, I think that's about does it. I think we talked long enough here.
Yeah. I knew that was going to be a long one once we got going on there, but good stuff. Good conversation.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good having you on, Shane. Thanks for being our reporter in the field. You didn't ask any questions for Choate, though. I told you to ask him a question.
Yeah, well, the questions you guys are going to have me ask, I don't know. Like, they'd kick me out.
Yeah. He would have. Or he would have just given you the Choate death glare.
Yeah, he would have stopped me right there.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. Who are you? Get out of the room.
Yeah. I just wanted to hear him say, "This is Shane Driscoll reporting for R&R CatCast," and just look up Jeff going, "What?" That would have been great.
That would have been awesome.
Like homemade media badge.
Yeah.
Which one of the recruits is the best dancer? Getting to the important stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Well, let's catch up soon. We'll talk about planning that game we're all gonna meet up in Bozeman with. But until then, we'll just sign off saying, "Go Cats!"
Go Cats!
Go Cats!
All right, we'll see you.